Wow, guys, I think we've just watched the match of the tournament. This game had everything. There were goals, there were disallowed goals, there were VAR decisions, there were red cards, there was tension, there was this and that. This game was absolutely amazing. It was end to end action from the first minute. And look, before we begin, let me just say my thoughts are with Jamal Musiala, and I hope yours are too, because that injury looks really, really bad. And it's going to set him back for a while, and it sucks to see because Musiala is a player who brings so much to world football and so much to Bayern Munich and German football, and he's one of the best players in the world. And to see any player of any quality get injuries like that, and it's just sad to see. And if you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, it's quite an upsetting viewing. But I mean, it's bad. It's a bad injury, and I just hope he recovers quickly. But onto the game, I think the first half was very end-to-end. Both teams could have scored, maybe should have scored. Bayern started off with some really good chances. Harry Kane had a header which he maybe should have put away. PSG had some of their own, where I felt like PSG with their chances, they were maybe creating more than Bayern, but I think they were being a bit more wasteful in the sense that Bayern were trying to really build up and play the ball into the box and into dangerous areas. Whereas PSG, I felt like whenever they got a chance to shoot, they were shooting. Where maybe Doué, where it was on a 3-on-2, could have played it to Barcola to send him through and on goal. Instead, he goes for the long-range effort and it goes wide. Kvaratskhelia one time burst into the box, had an easy cutback for one of the PSG attackers, decides to shoot and it hits the side netting. And I felt like maybe PSG could have gone 1 or 2 goals up in the first half, but they didn't. Fabian Ruiz had a good chance on the edge of the area. He skied it. But I think another reason why PSG their attacks were getting nullified was because of Manuel Neuer. He was making some great saves in the first half and second half as well. For example, the one on Kvaratskhelia where he just ran past everyone until he met Manuel Neuer, who put a stop to him. And then, look, just before the first half ends, Bayern Munich get a goal. I think, who was it? Upamecano. You think, okay, their performances have finally paid off. They were probably the better team in the first half, in my opinion. They were dominating more of the ball. Pavlovic, by the way, was so good. Pavlovic is such a good midfielder, just winning the ball back and then playing it forwards. Just what you want in a defensive midfielder. But yeah, Upamecano scores and you're like, yeah, but the flag goes up. And come on, guys, it's such a clear offside. I don't know what Bayern were doing. PSG, obviously, you have to give them credit for the offside trap, for the line. They all stayed so synchronized. It was good to see. But every single Bayern attacker was in an offside position, and that's beginner stuff right there. That's like, those are rookie errors. And yeah, it's a shame because I think they deserved a goal. And it was a nice finish from Upamecano. But then the second half begins, and this is when the madness starts to unfold. You get crazy chances being missed, like Barcola's one-on-one with a 39-year-old Neuer, and Neuer just with an absolutely world-class stop to keep Bayern in the game. Dembele comes on. You expect Dembele to be clinical, to be the killer. He gets a chance on a plate after an error from Neuer, which, by the way, when errors from Neuer come about, you have to take them because they don't come about very often. But he just misses the open goal and it goes wide, and you think, wow, is it going to be Bayern's day now? Is it going to be Bayern's day? PSG have been very wasteful. Surely it's just going to go right for Bayern at some point. But it didn't. In fact, it was quite the opposite, because then PSG go on an attack after Kane loses the ball quite cheaply, who, by the way, I thought Kane had a pretty poor game today. I'm not going to lie to you. He just wasn't like at that world-class level that you want Kane to be and that you know he can be at. But he loses the ball there cheaply in midfield, and PSG go on an attack where it's not really a counter-attack because Bayern had numbers back, but Doué finds the ball at his feet, and he's just such a clinical player and such an exciting player. And you just give him that little inch of space and room and he'll find a shot, he'll find a finish. And he makes up for that missed chance in the first half. And he just places a brilliant finish into the bottom corner, which is unstoppable for Neuer, who's just left flat-footed. Nothing you can do about it. And PSG are 1-0 up with about 50 minutes to go. And at this point, I was like, wow, PSG, they've got their goal. Now they can just sit back and they've got a very good defence, so that should be enough. But Pacho just decides he wants to snap someone's leg, goes for Goretzka, and if PSG haven't done enough damage to Bayern Munich players after Musiala, they clearly did after that, because Pacho gets himself sent off after a reckless challenge. Although he's been having a great tournament and a great season, that was just uncalled for. And he gets rightly sent off. And then it's like Bayern are back in the game now. They've got a man more, and they should have the momentum now. And they did pick it up after that. I mean, They were putting balls in the box as per usual. Upamecano was playing some good balls. Upamecano had a great game today. I think he was much better than Tar. Tar just didn't look very comfortable on the ball. And for me, Upamecano was doing everything right defensively and offensively. And then, yeah, look, the game's kind of flowing a little bit. Bayern is starting to pick it up. Müller comes on for his last game at Bayern Munich. And then out of nowhere, Bayern Munich get their goal through a Harry Kane header. And this one didn't look as offside at first as the Upamecano one. So I was like, wow, this might be going to extra time. This game really does have everything, because everything had happened up to that point except for Bayern getting their goal. But again, the flag goes up relatively quickly, and it is a pretty obvious offside from another set piece, which just shows that Bayern's line is just unbelievable. I'm not sure if the Harry Kane one was a set piece. It might have just been a cross. But my point still stands that PSG's defensive line is just it's just such a unit. They're all just telepathically in communication. They always know what to do at the right time together. There's never one man letting the line down. And yeah, again, it's another offside, and Bayern really now look defeated. There's a guy in the crowd celebrating like 10 minutes after the flag's been raised. He's going crazy, but it sucks for them, because that was probably their best chance. And I think if he'd stayed onside, it's not like one of them where you have to be offside to score. He could have just held back a little bit and still found the right position. And because it's Harry Kane, he's going to obviously get to the ball first. And then the game just carries on there. And then PSG get their second after a brilliant counter-attack. Dembele just bursts down the right, smashed the shot onto the crossbar. I did not know Dembele had that conviction and power and aggression to his finishing, but he strikes the ball so well and it just hits the bar, unfortunately. But it comes back out, and then it goes back out wide to Hakimi, who goes on one of the craziest dribbles I've seen in a while from a fullback. Just runs past the whole Bayern defence, in and out, weaving through the players, and then just finds a brilliant cutback to Dembele, who makes no mistake from there. And Dembele keeps on solidifying his Ballon d'Or case as the days go by. And although he didn't start again because he's just recovering from the injury, to get a goal and to seal the game off, he'll be very happy with that. And I'm sure Ballon d'Or voters will be too, because it was a great finish and it was a needed one at the time, and it makes up for the miss before that. But yeah, at that point, that's it. Game's over. Although I forgot to mention that before that Dembele goal, PSG actually went down to 9 men. Lucas Hernandez just decides again to just elbow whoever. I don't even know who he was elbowing. Might have been Kimmich or something. But he just elbows him, gets himself sent off, and PSG down to 9 men. And now Pacho and Hernandez, 2 defensive players, are out for the semi-finals. It'll be interesting to see how PSG adapt to that. But really, it's reckless in a position where he didn't need to do that. And obviously, it wasn't 2-0, it was 1-0. But still, what are you doing? And then, that Dembele goal obviously is a huge relief for PSG. And then Bayern keep on playing. There's obviously more time added on because of the red card and because of the Dembele goal celebrations. And then out of nowhere, Bayern get a penalty. Now look, at this point, I was like, it doesn't really matter if the penalty gets given or not. PSG are going to win. The whistle's going to blow after the penalty anyway. And they were kind of long in it with the VAR. But eventually it gets given. There's no penalty, and I agree. I think that was the right decision. It's interesting to see how Anthony Taylor went to the monitor and then still didn't give it as a penalty. Obviously, we usually know that the referee only goes to the monitor when it's a penalty. But I think it was because the on-field decision was a penalty, and then obviously maybe the VAR told him to have a look, and then he did. And it wasn't a penalty. He doesn't really touch the ball that much, but he doesn't touch the player either. And if anything, he gets more of the ball than the player. So the potential foot-to-head contact wasn't there, so it wasn't a penalty. But yeah, and then the game ends, and it's a bitter, bitter day for Bayern Munich. It's a sweet one. It's a sweet one for PSG, but it's a bitter one for Bayern Munich because Musiala, their star boy, obviously, really, really bad scenes there. But also Müller, the GOAT. Bayern Munich, just Bayern Munich. When you think of Bayern Munich, you think of Thomas Müller. For as long as I've been alive, for as long as I can think, Thomas Müller has been a Bavarian. He's been a Bayern Munich player, and it's the end of the road now. And I remember there was a joke, like maybe 4 years ago or 5 years ago now, where people used to say, Thomas Muller's always been 30. Now all of a sudden he's 34, 35? And it's proved that time just does go by fast, man, because I remember the older you grow, just everything just starts to get put into context. Because back in the day, I thought Thomas Müller being 30 was young. It's like, yo, Thomas Müller, bro, I remember watching you the 2014 World Cup, and you're just 30 now? Now the guy's leaving Bayern, and God knows when he's going to retire, or if he's going to stay in Europe or this and that. And it's crazy to think about, man, because yeah, I remember checking recently Thomas Muller's age to see if you could still make the 30 jokes, the 30-year-old jokes, if he was only 32 now, if he was only 33. But he was older, he was like 34, 35. But yeah, Thomas Muller, man, what a legend. Obviously, gave my club hell in the 2012 Champions League final. But you know, he's just such a classy player. He's so technically gifted. Always like was never the flashiest, never the fastest, never the most skillful and or the deepest bag, if you want to use those terms. But he was just so reliable. He was so consistent, and he'll be missed at Bayern Munich, and he'll be missed at football as well because that's another one from our generation that's gone, bro. There's not many left now. I can't lie to you, and yeah, it's sad, but yeah, Bayern Munich fans today will be having a rough time. PSG fans will be very very happy with their performance. They got on with it and now they're in the semi-finals. And PSG for me continue to be the favourites or one of the favourites alongside Real Madrid. Now I do think though Real Madrid, if they do manage to beat Dortmund, which I think they should and will, I do think they'll have the upper hand over PSG slightly because of the red cards as well. I mean, Pacho's a big centre back for them, and Lucas Hernandez was probably the cover for that. And now they're both gone, so it's going to be tough for PSG. But you can't write them off, obviously, as we all know. Speaking of Real Madrid, I'll be watching the Real Madrid Dortmund game, and I'll be coming on here with my thoughts on that game later as well. But yeah, PSG Bayern, bro, what a game, what a game. This tournament just keeps on delivering good games, just good matchups, and just events, bro. This has just been a great tournament, and yeah, it's been a success in my eyes. Obviously, I did criticize it like a lot of other people before because I felt like it's just more ways to get money for FIFA and just more games for the players. And although I still do agree with that, as fans, at the end of the day, we just like watching our favorite teams play more. And if we do, we're more happy. So yeah, I'm not complaining, but yeah, it is a great game today, and hopefully there are more great games to come in a bit.